Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Let's continue with the companion builds for my Imperial Let's Play through Rogue Trader. And this time, we're going to talk about Heinrix. He's an interrogator with the Inquisition, and absolutely I plan for him to be a mainstay on my squad. Now, he starts with some proficiencies. He automatically comes with proficiency in Melta and Drukhari weapons, which doesn't really matter because we're not going to use either of these types of weapons for our build. He is from an Imperial world, which is helpful for us because Lord High Slanderer is going to get one or maybe two talents that are going to apply to characters who are from Imperial world, so he'll benefit. And he's also a sanctioned psyker who starts with the biomancy section unlocked, and you can't see it here, but he also starts with the sanctic powers category unlocked as well. Now, because he has biomancy, he automatically gets iron arm, which is going to provide a bonus to strength and toughness whenever he uses it. That'll be equal to 10 plus 4 times his psi rating. So this is very, very useful, and even more importantly, he can apply it to other companions as well. So he'll apply it to himself and then also Abelard for a good deal of the game. And then later on, he might apply it to Ulfar as well to give him a little bit more hit points. Now, he also starts with base skill and advanced skill Lord Xenos, so he can serve as the one in charge of Lord Xenos, and we'll use him for that to some degree. All right, now going into the archetype abilities, of course, he automatically starts with charge, which allows him to move into a straight line and then attack an enemy at the end of the line, as long as there's at least 2 free cells between him and the target. Very, very nice. Any melee fighter, you're really going to want them to have this. It's just great to increase their mobility, and charge does not take up their attack limit per turn, so you can still attack after using it. Fantastic all the way around. And then he also automatically comes with an increase in coercion. Usually this would be really nice, especially since it goes right along with him being an interrogator. But for our particular playthrough, I need him to cover lore warp. So we're going to be focusing on that. And I'll have somebody else deal with coercion. So this is kind of a dead spot, but it's okay, not particularly a big deal. And then next up, he also gets Endure, which causes him until his next turn to reduce all incoming damage by his toughness bonus, and he's going to gain toughness bonus as temporary wounds. So his toughness won't be crazy high, but still, this is pretty nice. And definitely is going to make him a little bit more durable. Now, at level 4, he gets Daring Breach, which allows him to immediately restore all action and movement points, and he gains movement points equals to his agility bonus until the end of the turn. He doesn't lose movement points after performing attacks, and he has no limit on melee attacks for that turn. So just all the way around, this is really, really fantastic and helps him to pump out a high amount of damage. Daring Breach is one of the best heroic acts in the game. And then on the same level, he's also going to get defensive maneuvers. So whenever he takes damage, he gains a percentage bonus to dodge that scales with his agility bonus, and this stacks up to 3 times, but it resets after a successful dodge. This is fantastic for him. Dodge is his main defensive mechanic. So I think Heinrix comes with medium armor, but you want to go ahead and pull that off. Put some light armor on him and make sure that nothing impedes his dodge because he needs as much of it as possible. And then finally, when you get to the next level, you can start choosing talents for Heinrix. And the first one I would recommend is Desolation. The warrior deals an additional agility bonus damage to enemies that have no allies in adjacent cells. So the way I'm going to use Heinrix is he's not going to be charging into the middle of the most amount of enemies, right? That first there's going to be Abelard, and then later on there's going to be Ulfar. So instead, he's going to kind of skirt around the edges and pick off some of the high priority targets or enemies that are going to try to come from side angles to close us in, right? So he should end up going up against a lot of enemies who have no allies in adjacent cells, and this will be useful. Next up, we get to choose a characteristic, and we're going to kick things off with agility. Both defensively and offensively, agility is Heinrich's most important stat, so it's definitely going to be our priority. When we're not increasing agility, we're definitely going to go to weapon skill to help ensure that he's able to hit as often as possible and to give him some increase to parrying. And then finally, we'll give him some toughness as well to give him some additional hit points, along with just making him more tanky overall. Next up, we get to choose an ability, and I would take Enfeeble. Until the end of combat, all targets within the area suffer a penalty to strength and agility equal to 5 plus 3 times your psi rating, and they suffer a percentage increase to all incoming damage equal to 3 plus twice your psi rating. Very, very useful, especially when you can hit a whole group of enemies with this. Go ahead and pick it up. Now, when it comes to skills, as mentioned, we're going to focus on Lore Warp. And this is because most likely Adira is not going to be able to make it. So we need someone who's focusing on Lore Warp in a way where they can handle manning the ship post. So that's going to be Heinrix's responsibility. And then when this is not available, he'll focus on Lore Xenos. And then if neither one of them are available, he'll go to Metakai. And then next you get to choose a common talent. So go ahead and pick up Nimble, which is going to add a 10% bonus to dodge. Again, very important for him. For your next talent, take Rigorous Training. Anytime you use Charge and Slash, it doesn't end your movement, and it grants an additional percentage to dodge equal to 10 plus your agility bonus for 1 round after use. This is absolutely fantastic since you should be using Charge on a very regular basis. For your first Heroic Act upgrade, get the second one until the end of combat. You're going to gain 4 movement points for each kill and may use movement points after attacking or using abilities. Very, very nice. On your next level, get Psi Rating 1, which is going to cause all your Psycho powers to be more powerful. And then you can't increase agility anymore, so go ahead and switch over to weapon skill. For your next ability, pick up Invigorate. It does heal a small amount of wounds, but that's irrelevant. What you really want this for is that it's going to remove Stunned, along with a bunch of other potential effects. But really, Stunned is the most important one. There are a lot of enemies in this game that love using stun grenades. And it's absolutely devastating for your team, especially if they throw those grenades in a group of your allies. So being able to pull off the stun effect with just 1 AP, very, very nice. A couple of people mentioned that in my Cassia build, I skipped over Treat Wounds or whatever, skipped over There Is No Excuse, which also has a similar effect that will remove stun. And part of the reason I did this is because Heinrix is going to have this anyway, and I didn't feel the need to double up. But honestly, in hindsight, it's not necessarily a bad idea to double up. So if one of those abilities didn't appeal to you, you could definitely allow Cassia to also be someone who can remove stun effects from your allies. For your next talent, pick up Blade of Light. It's going to allow your attacks with force weapons to deal more damage and have more armor penetration, and this is going to scale with your psi rating. On the next level, you can't increase Lore Warp anymore, so switch over to Lore Xenos. For your next talent, get Biophysical Distortion. It's going to cause your attacks to poison enemies, which is going to deal extra damage towards them that scales with your psi rating. Next up, you can't increase agility or weapon skill anymore, so switch over to Toughness. And for your next talent, get Edge of Dawn, which is going to cause enemies adjacent to you to suffer 10% more damage. And then for your last upgrade, go ahead and take the additional 10 movement points until the end of your turn. And also, you don't provoke any attacks of opportunity that turn. This can be helpful if you want to try to break through the group and hit one particular high priority target. All right, so now we have finished all of the upgrades regarding Warrior and can head into Assassin. Honestly, you should already be a fantastic melee combatant, but Assassin is going to take things to a completely new level, and it starts with Seek the Opening. So you're going to create an opening on one of the enemy's sides, and when you hit that opening, you're going to deal additional damage equal to 10% of the target's max wounds. You can see how this can be very powerful, especially against bosses with very large health pools. At the next level, you're able to choose your first ability, and I would take Elusive Shadow. For 1 round, you're going to become the lowest priority target for enemy attacks, and you also gain the elusive status, which allows you to move through enemies. You're going to get a bonus to dodge and dodge reduction that scales with your agility and perception bonus respectively. You're going to get 10% additional damage, and all half cover provides you with 50% cover efficiency. However, this status fades when the assassin attacks. So you have to make a choice based upon the situation. Do you kick things off by applying this so you can do the maximum amount of damage possible? Or do you use this to try to help ensure that enemies don't attack you? Either way, this is just fantastic to have in your arsenal, and you're going to be using it every single turn. For your next talent, get Eye for the Unscathed, which is triggered when you attack an enemy who's at full wounds and grants you a 20% increase to dodge and dodge reduction against that enemy until the end of your next turn. You should be triggering this pretty much constantly. Pick it up. On the next turn, you're going to pick up Dispatch, which is going to allow you to make an attack with your current weapon, and this attack cannot miss, and it deals 50% more damage, while also dealing additional damage equal to 25% of the target's missing wounds. On top of that, your dodge, dodge reduction, armor penetration, and parry reduction are doubled for this attack. Without question, I think it's pretty obvious to see this is a boss killer, especially if you use it in the right situation. On the next level, you're going to get an increase to AP of +1. Very, very nice. It's going to help with your action economy. And then your ability to improve characteristics has been refreshed, so go ahead and pick up Agility. On the next level, pick up Psi Rating 2, which is going to make all of your Psi powers more powerful. On the next level, your ability to increase skills has been refreshed, so go ahead and pick up Lure Warp. And then you're also able to get another ability, so pick up Warp Speed. This is going to increase your movement points and agility by an amount that scales with your Psi rating, and it's going to give you 1 additional action point, all until the end of combat. You can use this on yourself, or you can also use it on other party members. Great to have all the way around. On the next level, get Sanguine Siphon. Every time you deal damage, you gain 1 stack of this effect. If that damage was dealt to a target adjacent to you, you gain 2 stacks instead. And if you suffer lethal damage, the stacks of this are removed to reduce this damage by 1 for each stack, until either all stacks are removed or the damage is no longer lethal. This should absolutely help to ensure that Heinrix stays on his feet. On the next level, you can no longer increase agility, so go ahead and pick up Weapon Skill. On the next level, get Deterioration. When an effect applied by the Psyker increases the damage suffered by a target, this effect is increased by half. This will help your Enfeeble power to debuff enemies even further. On the next level, pick up Killing Spree. Whenever you hit an opening, which you should be doing just about every turn, your damage is increased by a percentage amount equal to half your agility bonus until the end of combat, and this effect stacks. Very, very nice. For your heroic upgrade, pick the second option, which is going to increase its damage. For your next common talent, go ahead and pick up Grenadier. Heinrix will be on the front line most of the time, so absolutely have opportunities to use this. And then go ahead and pick up Ambush. At the start of your turn, all enemies that do not have line of sight to you gain the Unsuspecting status, which causes you to gain a 7% bonus to hit chance and critical hit chance. Very nice, and since you're going to be kind of going around the pack, and then potentially coming back in from the other side, this should trigger all the time. At the next level, you can't increase agility or weapon skills, so flip over to toughness. You also can't increase Lure Warp anymore, so go ahead and pick up Lure Xenos. On your next level, pick up Death Whisper, which is going to allow you to do another attack that does not count towards your attack limits per turn, but it only deals 25% of base damage. If that attack is successful, then the target will start suffering from a hemorrhage, and at the beginning of each of the target's turn, they will suffer lethality divided by 10 rending damage, which is not blocked by your armor. On your next turn, you can pick up another ability, and I would take Death Whisper. This allows you to do another attack, which does not contribute to your attack limit per turn, but it only deals 25% of your base damage. However, if it's successful, then the target will start suffering from a hemorrhage, and they will suffer rending damage equal to your lethality divided by 10. And your lethality is either your dodge or dodge reduction stat, whichever one is higher. Obviously, that stat is going to be massive due to the investment you've made in agility. This is nice to have. For your next common talent, pick up Psi Rating 3. Again, it's going to help make all your Psyker talents more powerful. And for your talent, pick up Professional Acumen. Every turn, the first use of an assassin ability costs 0 action points. For your next talent, pick up Carmine Whisper, which is going to cause the hemorrhage effect from Death Whisper to deal an additional 10 damage. Great stuff. For your next common talent, get It Will Not Die, which is going to increase your wounds by half of your level, rounded up. And then for your last heroic upgrade, go ahead and choose the first option, which is going to cause the target to lose half of its current armor and deflection. Obviously, that's a massive defensive debuff. Very, very nice. That ends all of the mechanics for Warrior and Assassin. As always, there's a sheet linked in the description below if you want to see all of it listed out, along with what I would choose for Exemplar, along with links to my videos walking through the mechanics for both Warrior and Assassin. As far as when you get to Exemplar, you should already be a beast, so you have a lot of flexibility in how you decide you want to set up your character. The only thing that I would point out is, of course, by this time, you're probably going to be entering Act 4, and the enemies are going to ramp up significantly in damage and difficulty. So I kind of start defensively for him instead of offensively, since he didn't get a chance to get a lot of the more tanky options within Warrior. So I kick things off for him with Tricky Defense, which is triggered when you wear light armor, and of course Heinrix should be, and it's going to cause his dodge to be increased by half of the armor bonus of that armor. So this should be a pretty significant amount and will really help to ensure that he stays on his feet through difficult long encounters. So I'll show you what I have on his person right now. Honestly, again, none of it is all that great. For his build, there were some psyker options, but I kind of ended up moving them around a lot, and I would definitely do his equipment differently when I go through the full game. This is nice. These boots grant there were 3% dodge till the end of combat for every side power they use in the stacks. Obviously, that is fantastic for him. He also has a charge staff, so it allows him to use Lightning Arc as a heroic option. His willpower isn't high, so it's not like it's going to do a crazy amount of damage, but it's still nice to have. And he does have the Eyes of Joyeuse, so the wear side rating is increased by 1 against Daemons and for each rank of Dogmatic. And obviously Dogmatic is what he leans towards and specializes in, so this is fantastic. And in fact, it's giving him a +2 to side rating, which is absolutely very considerable. And that's it. That's pretty much the overall build. Very, very confident that I should be able to get through the game on core, or daring as it's called now, using this build, and looking forward to advancing through more of the game. So as always, let me know down in the comments if you have any feedback, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.